one type of movie character that inevitably evokes a big response.
Hi.
The dead kind. And whether people believe in spirits or not, everyone enjoys a good ghost story.
Death ain't no way to make a living.
Not usually, but it can be a living if you're one of the masters of cinematic illusion who conjure the big screen's most engaging spooks. Coming up, we'll travel to Wellington, New Zealand, where Michael J. Fox is pursued by demonic spirits in The Frighteners. We'll see how the art of ghost effects was advanced in such haunted favorites as Ghostbusters and Casper. And we'll discover the secrets behind the terrifying apparitions in Poltergeist. Join us on a journey to the other side.
They're here.
Next on Movie Magic. In the small town of Fairwater, a malevolent spirit is on the prowl. And psychic conman Frank Bannister, played by Michael J. Fox, is in way over his head.
He's a guy who was a successful young architect, and he was in a horrendous car accident, and his wife was killed, and because of this experience, he found himself being able to communicate with the other side.
I've drawn up a list of suggestions. Bear in mind, Frank, that we've given you 5 years of loyal service.
As strange as the goings-on are in Fairwater, something equally extraordinary is taking place in the city of Wellington, New Zealand.
Action!
This is where the offbeat chiller, The Frighteners, is being produced. The unusual thing is that this is one of the biggest effects films ever, on a scale few would think achievable outside the United States. At the helm is New Zealand director Peter Jackson, whose last film was the critically acclaimed psychological drama Heavenly Creatures. During that production, Jackson established a special effects company, Weta Limited, in the same complex as his Camperdown studios. Weta purchased one Silicon Graphics computer to create Heavenly Creatures' 30 computer-generated, or CG, shots.
And so with The Frighteners, when we were facing the prospect of like over 500 CG shots, there was obviously a debate whether or not we should attempt to do them in New Zealand. I mean, as the director of the movie, I really wanted to keep the effects in-house. You know, suddenly all this material would go offshore 12,000 miles away. I'd be stuck here in New Zealand, you know, wondering whether my shots were looking any good or not. And I just felt, gosh, this is a frightening way to make a movie.
So Jackson assembled a core group of Kiwi computer animators and software developers to expand Weta's digital effects capabilities. And Wes Takahashi, an alumnus of George Lucas's Industrial Light and Magic, was recruited by executive producer Robert Zemeckis to be the Frighteners' visual effects supervisor.
He was saying that it was being done on this tiny island out in the Pacific, and I was thinking, I don't recall any major studios out there. But when I did get down there, I was just amazed that everybody knew a lot about different facets of production.
Yeah, okay, do it slowly, guys.
Breathing life into the Frighteners' posse of poltergeists has also required expansion of Weta's physical and creature effects department. It is responsible for character design and special makeup effects.
The Reaper, Frank.
During filming, the ghosts are photographed separately from the human characters on an all-blue set. This enables them to be cleanly extracted from the background through a process called blue screen matting. The digital department then composites or combines the living and deceased and gives the ghosts their spirit-like appearance.
From my point of view, I wanted ghosts that looked kind of traditional. I wanted the first second that you saw this character to say, ghost, that's a ghost. I've seen that before.
CG supervisors John Shields and Wayne Stables developed software dubbed the Ghost Look program, with settings to control the transparency and color of the ghost's interior, as well as the rim glow around its body.
The rim glow is just a diffused light that we could change the color on that would just meet up with the glowing interior of the ghost.
An added dimension is provided by a program called Warp, which slightly distorts the background behind the ghosts, as if they were refracting the light that passes through them.
I think I'm going to throw up.
But creating the ghost look is just the start. For this shot, which calls for one of the apparitions to throw up, John Shields begins by creating a 3D model of actor Jim Fife's head in the computer. He then animates the exaggerated action of the cheeks and eyes and renders a healthy dose of digital vomit. When all the pieces are integrated into a single image, one gets the idea that ghosts are subject to motion sickness too. One of the most colorful of the Frighteners is the Judge, played by veteran actor John Astin.
Oh, no. Now I can talk.
The Judge was a lot older than the other ghosts, and therefore he was in much more state of decay. And in fact, his whole midriff is missing, and he's only being held together by a spine from his waist to his torso.
To produce the illusion, CG supervisors Wayne Stables and Gray Horsfield had to generate the Judge's missing anatomy in the computer.
So we modelled various parts of him, including his pelvis, bones down here, his spine, a bit of his tail bone, and the odd bit of sort of dead flesh, for want of a better term, that was still adhering sort of tenaciously to the bones.
Stables then animates the CG midriff to match the movements of John Astin on set.
Could soon be time to lay my bones. It's frightening. It's a young man's game, Frank.
Talking about you're in great shape.
Don't go saying nothing to the boys, but my ectoplasm is all dried up.
Unlike the once human ghosts, the Judge's dog, Rustler, had to be created from scratch.
Although he's obviously decomposing, he's a bit flea-bitten and raggedy around the edges, we still wanted him to have a personality.
The physical effects team built a mechanical Rustler puppet for close-ups. And the digital team created its own CG canine, capable of running and getting into all sorts of trouble. While many of the Frighteners' ghosts were intended for laughs, one is dead serious.
It's like the Grim Reaper out of medieval sort of etchings and things, the figure with the cowl and the cape and the scythe. And he is a scary figure. I wanted a predator, something that moves in animalistic kind of ways and will get you no matter where you are. You can't escape.
Conceptual artist Christian Rivers spent 2 months experimenting with Reaper designs on paper.
It's sort of the cloak and the creature are one. It's like the cloak goes down and sort of forms into the hands and the hood.
The Reaper was further developed by filming tests with rod puppets and people in suits. With its character established, the Reaper's next step was in the digital realm.
And that is the first time that the predatorial nature of the figure really came alive, as far as I was concerned. When he came out of the computer and he suddenly looked scary.
After nearly 2 years of development and production down under, Peter Jackson's mix of friendly and deadly Frighteners has burst onto the screen. signaling the existence of special effects life beyond Hollywood.
In New Zealand, we've never been able to do blue screen matting. No lab in New Zealand has ever been able to do it. But suddenly we have this box sitting here in this building, and we can do the best blue screen mats in the world based on the software that's in that computer. It's accessible to anybody now, which I think is the most wonderful thing of all. I don't think the Frighteners necessarily puts New Zealand on the special effects map of the world. I think the Frighteners puts any country on the special effects map of the world.
The wicked will be punished.
Coming up, Ghost Effects Wizardry helps Slimer visit his favorite haunts.